And on PM Express tonight, the conversation about the continuous calls for Ken Ofori-Atta, the finance minister, to be sacked. Indeed, the members of parliament came back from their recess with intense heat on the president to sack the finance minister. 80 members of the NPP caucus actually gave the president an ultimatum of face their wrath. Their minority colleagues have actually applauded their courage and are lacing their boot to move a motion for censorship against the finance minister. But do they have the numbers? Remember, it's 136 against 138. They may need at least 46 members from the other side to get this through. Are they willing to support them? Remember, when the president met the majority caucus last week, the president urged them to give him time for the finance minister to actually finish with the IMF negotiations and read the 2023 budget. What does a vote of censorship mean to the 2023 budget? And does the president's plea mean anything to the parliamentarians? These are the conversations we're going to be having on PM Express tonight, plus some controversial matters, including the ruling on Adwoa for tonight on PM Express. I've been joined by the minority chief whip in Parliament, Mohammed Muntaka Mubarak. He's also MP for Asawase. Good to see you,
Good to
Honorable.
see you.
It's been a while.
Yeah, sure.
What have you been up to?
You know, the pressure is on, running around constituency, Pan-African Parliament, and what have you.
So you guys came back from recess 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
and it's heated already. How has it been for your side?
Yeah. I mean, as you can see, and all the things that's going on, it's not easy. I mean, you are coming from a long recess with a lot of issues. I mean, fuel prices skyrocketing, cost of living just getting out of hand, constituents complaining every day. I mean, pressure on MPs has more than quadrupled because obviously those that you support in one way or the other, with these challenges, they will even need more support. So we were very clear on our mind before we came on recess that, look, we need to take this move. And coincidentally, our colleagues from the majority group were also taking this move. So you notice that we started the day, or the first week, we were virtually mourning the economy and the democracy that we have with our black attire, black and red. Mm-hmm. And the first day we came out, we filed our motion before Parliament opens on Tuesday. We filed it on Monday, and only to come on Tuesday to see our colleagues doing this. And so, wow, what a good news. Because we were doing all that, having the fear that, yes, we are confident that it's going to be a secret ballot, but are we going to be able to garner that number from our colleagues opposite? Mm. So the next morning, we had over 80 of them, boldly enough, holding a press conference. They would say, oh, hallelujah. And you remember what I said immediately after that. I said that, well, we hope that they are going to keep to their word. Mm. But unfortunately, we are seeing some moves that we are not sure. But for us, as a responsibility for the minority, we need to carry on through. Sometimes you don't do things because you are very sure you succeed, but for the records. Mm. And to show your displeasure as a group that, look, you believe that this is wrong. So you state it and let posterity judge. So we are determined to go ahead with our censorship.
That singular move by the majority side actually emboldened you to take the decision for the censorship?
No, we had taken the censorship decision already. If you look at the date for the censorship, it came before their press conference. But I can tell you that we are in the same house. And before we went on recess, we've seen a lot of moves on the other side. We hear your own colleagues opposite comments and body language. I mean, obviously, we picked the signal that there were a number of guys opposite who were not really happy. And for us, we were sure that at least we could garner our 136. Is it possible to get the 46, about 46 members to join us? We weren't sure. We knew that there were some number of MPs on the other side who were not really happy about the way things are going on and in our conversation in the T area, in committees. So we're hoping that if it comes to secret ballot, we could be getting a number close to the 2/3 or probably get the 2/3. So having heard our colleagues the next day coming out about 80 of them. Then we got, happier that, oh, then this our censorship motion is going to see the light of day. Okay. But you know the constitutional provision. I mean, Speaker has up to 14 days. Even when he admits it, we need to advertise it for 7 sitting days. So all this period, unfortunately or coincidentally, has given persons the opportunity to interact with our colleagues opposite, to try to water it down. We are hearing all manner of moves that are being moved on the opposite. Okay. So can we count on the 80 or so tomorrow? Okay. Sitting here as a whip and all the things that I'm hearing, I'm not certain. What I know is that in the secret ballot, anything can happen. Okay. And I know that tomorrow, if by the grace of God, we move the motion and we get to the voting, definitely it's going to be secret. Mm-hmm. And I'm taking this opportunity to appeal to my colleagues, their conscience, to know. I mean, it isn't easy. I know what it is. I've been government whip before. It's not easy for a group in the majority to break through or to break up from the larger caucus. Yeah. You've dared and you've really made all of us proud. You've set a new pace for our parliament. We know that in this house, over the last 30 years, we've had incidents where you have some few people, but not publicly, but you took the bold decision to publicly state your position. That is commendable. I mean, I must commend them that yes, they were very certain, they came out boldly to say it, but my plea with them is that you did it for a reason. That reason is still pending. Why will you want anybody to force you to change your mind?
But your side, have you been doing some background talks with the majority just to win their thrust?
Well, I mean, you know, that's one of the skills of whips. I won't sit in the public eye to tell you what we are doing, okay, what my team and I are doing. I mean, you are sure you came and met a team meeting. Everything we're discussing was about the vote of censure tomorrow. Okay. So for us, we keep taking all the necessary steps. It is our hope and prayer that tomorrow the secret ballot will give us the two-thirds. Okay. Because you see, it is on principle ground. You cannot continue to drive a car when you have burst the tire, you have broken the first engine, you have smashed the screen, you have smashed a lot of things, you were reckless in not making sure there were water to keep cooling the car. Then all of a sudden you say that, oh, give me another opportunity, I'll fix all the problem. It is better to let go, let another person take over, so that the person could be able to fix the problems. Insisting to stay, for us, is like a mark of disrespect to the public. And for us in the minority, we believe that we need to carry on and push as hard as we can with hope that our colleagues opposite, yes, people might have spoken to you, but one advantage you have in the Constitution, and I believe that the framers of our Constitution were very certain that when it comes to removing somebody from office or putting somebody in office, the best way to do it is to do it through secret ballot. And you saw secret ballot produce Speaker Barbin. Yep. I'm very hopeful that, yes, in 1999, this same day, interesting, on the same date, 10th of November 1999, there was a vote of censure on Kwame Pepra, even though it didn't succeed, because the then majority, which was our side, had a huge number, so it didn't succeed. They first amended the motion and it didn't succeed. I am confident we were never able to elect a speaker from the opposite. We were able to do it through secret ballot. Okay. I'm very confident tomorrow we're making another history by using secret ballot to remove a sitting minister.
So you are confident that the majority members will betray their precedent and support the minority?
I can assure you that and I keep repeating this, I've been a government whip. I can tell you that it didn't just start with that. I can tell you that there have been series of meetings, they've raised concerns that they were neglected. That led to that. Okay. So if you've met a president over the period of time, assurances were given and it failed. Why will you trust him this time around? Because if all those things that you had demanded and the things that you had asked to be put in place had been done, you wouldn't even see the majority members daring to publicly show their dissentment. But they did. It tells you clearly that right from the beginning, a number of failure had led to that. So if somebody had broken the confidence, the trust that you have in him or her over a period, and then all of a sudden, now because you've gone public, then the person can say, oh, trust me once again. Why would you want to trust that person? I want to tell my colleagues opposite that, look, you know the kind of president that you are dealing with. He will want the dust to settle. He will come after you, so you better finish their business.
I've heard your deputy actually calling on minority members not to absent themselves, especially because of this exercise. Yourself, have you issued the 3-line report?
Yeah, we did. We've done since last week.
Okay.
And we've constantly been reminding our colleagues. And I mean, what we do as a group is to make sure that we cross all the T's and dot all the I's. And I can assure you, we are doing exactly that to make sure that all our colleagues, at least our 136 is the starting point. Okay. So I can assure you that our 136 is solid, and we are very hopeful. Maybe by the grace of God tomorrow, we'll make another history, and we may not only get maybe about 146 joining us. Maybe probably we may even get more.
What are the consequences of breaching the 3-line whip?
Well, the consequences are very dire, because if your whip, because before a whip issues 3-line whip, it has been discussed at all levels and agreed, and then he or she as whip is given the full mandate. And you heard my leader on your own network when he said he has not only authorized 3, but he has even authorized 9. So I have the 3. And I have the full backing of our establishment. So if you are a member of my caucus and you defy me, what it means is that you are virtually defying the whole establishment. It can lead to we not allowing you to stand for us in the name of our party again in your constituency. We can sanction you within the caucus. We have a lot of other measures that we take, including if you are a ranking, deposing you from being a ranking. If you are a chair, removing you as chair. If you are sitting on the front row, we can take you back. If we're having some package or some special support for a constituency, we can withdraw that. There's a lot that can go against a member that defies the chief whip.
But tomorrow's exercise, you recall Apia Kubi, who is the leader of the NPP MP rebels against Ken Ofori-Atta. He told my colleague Evans Mensah that he doesn't believe in the censorship. It appears you won't get the numbers.
Well, you see, we are politicians. Didn't Ken Ofori-Atta tell you that there's no way they'll go to IMF? Where are they now? I mean, so our politicians and our public utterances, sometimes I say that's the hazard of the job. When the heat comes, what people say publicly can sometimes be different from what they would do quietly. And remember that he's also an individual. Yes, there's a lot of heat on him. I mean, to be a rebel in a caucus, I can bet you, Aisha, it's not a joke. If you have I remember when, as a majority whip, you are a rebel in my caucus, you have a lot of heat. Because, I will do everything to make sure that the heat under your feet will burn you. Okay. You've seen how PCRP Ofori, when he decided to be a rebel within the majority caucus, in the very early 2000s, you saw the heat. He had to bow. I want to believe that he bowed out not because he really wanted to, because the heat was. So if you are a rebel within a majority, it is not an easy thing. So sometimes you want to eat back your own words just to have some breathing space, but not because your conviction is changed. So when you get the opportunity for a secret ballot, the person will still go ahead with his conviction, but the person publicly will have to take some of the heat off him or herself. That, we've abandoned this power, we are taking dialogue, we are doing that, just to take the heat off, because it's not easy to be a rebel in this. I can assure you that if this thing fails, it fails, believe me, all the rebels are not going to find it easy. But if it succeeds, then now they become a force to reckon with. That everything that's going to be done They say, hey, be careful of this rebel because they can succeed. Okay. But if it fails, they will surely come after them.
So it will be in their interest to actually support you.
Definitely, because they have to get this succeed. Because when it succeeds, then everybody will now be careful about trying to hurt them. If it fails, I can assure you they're not going to find it easy. So my encouragement to them is that, please, at least your 80, some may chicken out of fear, but your conviction for which reason you decided to do what you did, you have a 136 that is there to give you the minimum threshold to build upon. Come join us, because I can assure you tomorrow we'll make history. If you join us, we'll make history, and for the first time in the history of our country, ministers will begin to take the work that they have given super serious and know that there are consequences if you fail to act and manage according to the way you are supposed to do. The output that is expected of you, people will begin to sit up. But if it fails, obviously, it will be business as usual. Because remember, this is the closest that we've come, where there's at least half of the house waiting for some few to join. Most of the time, you have the majority have overwhelming number. So it's like, oh, this matter I do about nothing. In 1999, when the MPP were daring to do this, their number was just about 60, is it 68 or 61, between 60 and 69. And the majority had overwhelming 130 something. So, I mean, it was like, oh, we're just doing it for the record. Okay. But this time, the number is so close that with just about 50 more members, it could happen. So if it succeeds, believe me, for the rest of the 2 years, any minister of state will be careful because he knows there could be danger. But if it fails, then it's like, oh, business as usual. So they'll continue to do the things that they are doing that will be hurting all of us. And then we'll continue the excessive partisanship that will not help our country.
But why exactly do you want Ken Ofori-Atta to go out? Because the man has told you, it's not as if he's not doing anything. He's been doing something.
Have you seen something being done? Since he's talked about doing something, have you seen fuel come down? Since he told you he sees something, have you seen the dollar improve? Since he's told you to do something, have you seen the cost of food coming down? Since he told you that he's doing something, have you seen the cost of transport coming down? Have you seen better feeding of our children in school? Have you seen better investment in the districts? Have you seen better roads being initiated? What have you seen happen since he said that he's not doing anything? Look, my sister, sometimes I know the difficulty we politicians just don't know when to quit. I mean, there's this wisdom that people say that one of the prayer of every politician is to know when to quit, not to quit too early and not to quit too late. I know that my brother Ken knows that, look, he's messed all of us up big time. Yes, he might have done his best, but his best has not brought us anything. It is only good to give a new, fresh leaf. Let another person come. Maybe there'll be new confidence. Because you see, most of the challenge with the currency is speculation. And the speculation will not go if you keep the same team. Sometimes by just juggling, look, with just the announcement of attempting to remove him, it's like people are hopeful. Oh, by tomorrow 10th, Ken will go, and maybe a new person will come, and there will be some fresh hope. Just people hoping is enough to improve things. People having the kind of mind that we are all having that, look, with Ken, nothing will change. So he may be putting all his effort, but with just the belief that nothing will change, nothing will truly change.
But why haven't you given him the opportunity to actually explain himself or defend himself just like the Constitution demands?
Oh, he was going to have that tomorrow, because Article 82 clearly states that, 82.4, that the person whose this censure is against will have to be heard during the debate. I mean, I've heard some skirmishes, oh, why not set up a committee so that he will go to a committee there to be heard. The Constitution says he should be heard during the debate. So he should just prepare then when the motion is moved and all the allegations are leveled, then he gets the opportunity to respond. When he responds and the chamber is satisfied, the vote will show. If the chamber is not satisfied, equally the vote will show. So for me, the constitution is very clear. This is not a matter to refer to committee, because those who are talking about, oh, refer to committee, is a game to put this process into the control of our colleagues in the majority. Because of the shade of difference in the House, with the independent deputy speaker working with them, giving them the 138.
Yes.
It means that if we have to set a committee, they have to chair it. And you know how chairs can frustrate the work of committees. I mean, you have this LBGTQQQ and what have you. The chairman is steering the thing and is making every effort to make sure that even the report won't come to the House. He's putting all my delay. You have privileges committee report. The chairman is not interested. He's not bringing it. You have so many other committees. Once the chairman is not really interested, he keeps frustrating the committee, and the committee will not get anywhere. So if this is referred to a committee, what it's simply going to do is that you put it under control of the majority, and then they will just be ding-dalling it. And obviously, if I were the majority leader or the majority whip, I'll make sure that I'll get his ardent supporter to chair. And then when his ardent supporter to chair, before he calls for a meeting, 3 months before he calls for first meeting, and then you keep complaining and he's not minding you, then the matter remains there forever. But the Constitution graciously says, if you read 82.4, very clear, that he will be heard during, and for me, fortunately, I didn't go to Achimota, I didn't go to Presec, but for during the debate cannot be referred to any other thing. It's simply saying that when the thing is happening, no, he should be heard.
But the Constitution also says that after the vote of censorship, the president may. Are you aware of that?
I can tell you that this may here, that every president will know if 2/3 of Parliament says remove this minister, and you choose not to remove the minister, you know what it means? Parliament will not receive that minister, and it could lead to you yourself, President, going to vote of, process to remove you from office. Because if let's pray tomorrow we get 2/3, and then President Nanado says that, oh, even though 2/3 of you have said I should remove him, I'm not removing him. I can assure you the next day we'll file another process to remove the president from office. That means now the problem with the country has moved from the finance minister to the president himself. So now we'll move the heat from the minister that you can't remove to you yourself. And then we'll start the process. And interestingly, it's the same 2/3 that you need to remove the president. So if he will remove the minister, then he will have to be removed.
You're sure you get that number to remove the president?
One thing I can show you, Aisha, is that this is a game of politics. If we can get 2/3 to remove the minister for Nanado, you can be rest assured that that same 2/3 will be ready to remove the president.
Well,
because if that 2/3 will not remove the president, they will not remove his minister. Especially as he has publicly said he's supporting him, he's giving him all the praises and what have you. If we succeed tomorrow, by the grace of God, to get the 2/3, and the president doesn't act, that 2/3 will remove the president.
Well, just last week we heard allegations about a wealthy businessman who's been working underground to try and convince MPP MPs. Your side haven't said anything yet. Are you not interested in this matter?
Well, it's because it's still speculations. The sad thing is that all the MPs that I've heard, whether the majority leader or Honorable Appiah Kubi, did not mention any name. So now, if you are going to start the process, where are you going to start from? Where? But it will be very interesting to hear the name. But you see, we take the battles one after the other. You don't, at the time that you are hoping to get members on the majority side to join you, you don't go open another worm that may sow seeds of disunity or divide you. We are courting people to come on board. Let's see how that hurdle is done. When we are done, then we can see what else could be done with the other things.
Mohammed Muntaka Mubarak is my guest on PM Express tonight, and we've been talking about the censorship he says will happen tomorrow. One other controversial matter has been the Speaker's ruling on Adwoa Safo, and he says it is a delicate matter, and whilst taking decision on it, you must consider all other factors. So he believes that report should come to plenary. The majority side is not taking it lightly. It says it will go to the Supreme Court for interpretation. We'll wait to see how it unfolds. When I return from this break, we'll be talking all about that, and we'll also be talking about Jachikwe Singh, the Asin North MP. You remember the matter is still in court. Where are we with that? All of that shortly after this break. Stay with me. Welcome back to PM Express. My guest, so Mohammed Mubarak Muntaka, who is also MP for Asawase. Let's talk about Adwoa Safo. And the ruling of the Speaker has gotten the majority angry, if I may put it. Its leader, Osei Mensah-Bonsu, says they are heading to the Supreme Court. When is Parliament expected to debate that report?
Well, it brings me to what I was telling you earlier about the attitude of chairpersons. Now, if the caucus decide to do Supreme Court, what will push the chair to bring the report to the floor? That's how powerful the chairs of committees are. I mean, they will only report. You ask them, say, we are not ready. The report is not ready. So I think the best person to answer when can the report come to the floor will be Honorable Seusu, the first deputy speaker, who chairs the privileged committee. But I know they will deliberately not bring the report because they know it will not be in their interest. They will not get what they want. But the sad thing is that, you see, every now and then, we keep giving the Supreme Court or the Judiciary the opportunity to tamper with the workings of Parliament. We are supposed to be independent bodies. And I say you practice the Constitution for 30 years, and you've had precedents. And this same privileged committee, several things has been referred to it and reported to the House. All of a sudden, you now see everything wrong with the committee reporting back to the House. When it is explicitly stated in our standing orders that every matter that is referred from plenary will have to come back to plenary. Aisha, your Joy sent you here. You cannot just pick this and decide that you are going to publish it your own. That would be wrong. You have to take it back to Joy.
But the majority leader cites the Constitution, which he says you're frowning.
And we say that this same Constitution that he has used for 30 years, several reports have gone, several referrals have gone to Privileges Committee. How did they treat it? They reported back. Even in the case of Erica Martin, the former MP from Kranza, when he was involved in the cocaine, went to Privileges and it came back to plenary. How different is that from this one?
But they say the instances are not similar.
What is different about them? All of it was about the absence of a member beyond the 15 stipulated days. That's how that one to trigger. Okay. It was, we were not judging the case in the US about his cocaine. It was his absence that led to the declaration of the vacancy. So why are they talking about this? Do you know why? It's simply because they do not have the numbers. And they also know that now, if the motion is going to be debated on the floor, and Adwoa Safo herself is there, she will have the opportunity to vote for herself.
But Osei Mensah-Bonsu says that ruling is capricious.
Well, that's his view, and I don't fault him. We all have our views about things, but that will show his double standard, because he had been in this house right away from 1997 to date. He has seen how reports from Privileges Committee had come, from the work of Privileges, reported back to the House. If it is his view that, oh, now we should allow committees that are mentioned in the Constitution to their report, get, referral made to them, and then they go on and declare and do whatever they want to do, he should say so. Then I will tell him, the current appointments committee, by majority, I've said that the two of the justices of the Supreme Court should not be sent to Supreme Court. So, should we stand by that report and then tell them that they cannot be made Supreme Court judges? But we are waiting to report to the House, because it means a recommendation from the committee. But I can tell you, two of the justices, the committee says no, we don't think they are fit to go to the Supreme Court. But that will remain a recommendation. We'll bring it to plenary, and then plenary take decisions. Almost all committees of the House, I know one that they normally cite, the Finance Committee on Contingency, on Emergency. Read that provision very well. It's talking about in an emergency situation when the Finance Committee will mandate the Finance Minister to spend. But it says that as soon as practicable. That means the moment Parliament is in session, they come back to plenary to report. So it still ends with the plenary. And the Minister comes with supplementary appropriation to correct the expenditure. So everything ends with plenary. You cannot be sent by plenary to do some work and then you take the matter and you run with it.
But the Constitution doesn't state categorically
that is why
it should come to plenary.
That is why the Constitution in Article 110 says that Parliament will have a standing orders that will guide its proceedings. I get it. So anything that is silent, it says that make rules to guide your proceedings. So and that it's very clear. No, if the Constitution has said that the work of the Privileges Committee will be final, definite, it has given the way to deal with it, and then you want to use standing orders to do otherwise, that's when it will be contradictory. But the Constitution itself is silent, and it's asking you to use your procedures to guide whatever you want to do, having in mind the provisions of the Constitution. So how is that inconsistent? Because it's not everything that we do in this House that is explicitly stated in the Constitution. If you look at committees, it says that every member of the House will have a standing committee. We have two types of committees in this House. We have standing and select. We use our rules to now stipulate standing and select, and then we go ahead to use that to work. So it is. So the same with the judiciary. If you go check in the Constitution, a lot of things that they are doing now, you can only find it in the rules of court. It is not in the Constitution, but the rules of court that has been passed by Parliament as a subsidiary legislation for the judiciary is what is helping them to govern what they are doing. So if we as parliamentarians keep opening ourselves, forgetting our precedents, forgetting about standing orders, to allow other independent institutions to determine what we should do, we should all know the repercussions into the future. Because today, because you are cornered, you want to run for refuge. And unfortunately, our Supreme Court had not done this country well, because they've created a bad impression about how their rulings have been. I hope that they'll be mindful, because see, we must reduce antagonism between the two independent institutions. And in doing it, that's why many countries, you have a Supreme Court that will tell you that I do not want to go into how the legislature runs. Because trying to do that is trying to open a closed book.
But Ghana practices supremacy of the Constitution and not supremacy of Parliament.
Yeah, that's it. Nobody disputes that. But you see, we are not the only country that practices that. How is it practiced in other jurisdictions? Even the democracy itself. You have a UK they don't even have written constitutions. They use precedents, they use unwritten laws, their practices, and use that to guide themselves. Even that, they try to accommodate Parliament and how it works. And remember the last time Boris Johnson wanted to flex, the Supreme Court clearly says no, allow Parliament to run and allow Parliament to manage its own affairs.
But that's the UK.
That's what I'm saying. But they have practiced the democracy over 1,700 years.
But they practice supremacy of Parliament.
Yeah, so that I'm saying is that you have a Parliament. Do you want to make the Parliament look useless? Is that your anticipation? The Constitution says that these are supposed to be independent bodies. To what extent are the independent.
But the body that respects the Constitution.
Definitely.
Because that's the Supreme
Yes,
law.
definitely. And I'm saying that in making whatever ruling, the Supreme Court judges should have this at the back of their mind, that veering into how Parliament runs is going to further weaken Parliament and make Parliament, for lack of a better word, useless. Because each time anybody is not happy about something, you run and say that, oh, can you try and get this thing done? And the sad thing about how, what do you call it, our Supreme Court, in my view, runs is that if there are things that has to do with Parliament and you want to even make a ruling, my view, because I've spoken to people like Professor SKB Asante, who were part of the Constitution, they say, look, the discussion about almost every clause in the Constitution, how they arrive at them, are there, recorded. So simply go and find out, why did they decide to do it this way? They won't. They just sit down. Unfortunately, for those of us from the NDC, we see it being more political. And I've said this somewhere, and I said that, well, the way our Supreme Court is behaving is beginning to give us an impression that one day, if we and NPP go to the Supreme Court to say Ghana is, and we NDC are saying Ghana is a West African country with the Atlantic Ocean at its south, and then people say that no, Ghana is a country in the, what do you call it, Asian continent. Supreme Court will rule for MPP.
But the Supreme Court has stated that it will not interfere in your matter. At least in the last case of Justice Abdullah, it stated that it will not interfere in your matter when it has to do, because your work is a closed book.
Yeah.
But then if it has to do with the Constitution, which is the supreme laws of the land, then it will come into interpret.
And I say that in giving the interpretation, look at how it will impact on the work of Parliament. Because our Constitution is not, with a lack of better word, it's not a dead Constitution. It's supposed to be a living Constitution. So in making the ruling, be mindful. To the extent that you say that we should amend our standing orders, that's interfering with the work that we do. Because this is a standing orders we practice for 30 years. Yes, someone say, if you have been doing the wrong thing for 30 years, must you be allowed to continue doing it? So if Parliament decides that, okay, we are going to promulgate laws that will change the way, what do you call it, the Judiciary acts, for example, in contempt matters, how are they going to? So that someone can stand, we say that, oh, standing in the court and insulting a judge, this cannot be contemptuous. And we say that, oh no, we are passing the law because we want the Ghanaian to be free, to have free expression, so they can say anything in the court, so that they can insult you in the court and you should not be contemptuous. How can the court run? But we'll be right saying that, oh, we are just passing the law. Remember that most of the constitutional provisions can be amended by Parliament. Yeah,
definitely.
Yes, some of them are not entrenched by just a simple majority. Some of them by 2/3, some by simple majority. You can just amend them. If you do amend some of the provisions just to suit a certain political narrative today, will that augur well for the running of the court? I would say no. So you have to be mindful that we have a constitution that is supposed to be a living constitution. We've never come this close in our Parliament. I'm saying that one day we'll wake up, Aisha, and then we'll have a Parliament where the president is coming from the minority in Parliament, where the president is governing, but the majority of MPs are those in opposition. So if we begin to make laws that sound that, oh, all I want to do is to favor the government, when that day comes, you are going to have a chaotic situation, because then government will always run to the Supreme Court to say that, can you annul what Parliament has done? They will try and find constitutional provisions and say, oh, this thing has been breached, can you annul it, can you do this? And when you do that, you destroy the democracy. So it's not everything that you just say. Someone was talking about peace the day first in Pan Africa, that for peace, it's not everything that you must insist that because you are right, you must just be right. Sometimes for the sake of peace, you let go being right.
But why is it that it is the minority that is actually defending Adwoa Safo? It should be the other way around.
I thought that you should be concerned that why are they trying to eat their own?
But the woman has been given enough opportunity. You talk of natural justice, and you say that she must be given an opportunity.
Are you sure
to
she was
speak for herself. But the committee said they've invited her severally, countless number of times. She did not take the opportunity.
What the committee said was that they've not been able to locate her. Even when you managed to get her, they tried to use your channel to still get her, and they couldn't. So they never had her.
But what's your interest in protecting
What is their interest in trying to remove her?
You should be happy. That makes both of you, brings you at par.
Well, I mean, it looks very simple for you. But for the politics, they want to get their number up, whilst they are making every effort to get our number down.
How complicated is it?
Well, it is. It is. I mean, I will tell you that aside the morals of it, when I talk about the morals, and I get passionate as a whip, because I've been a whip for, this is my third term as a whip. Since several cases of MPs in a really rare, difficult situation. And this house have managed it in a certain way. And I've insisted, it is not only Parliament that have managed its difficulties with MPs who have one challenge or the other. The Judiciary have done that. Many of us have done that. And I will cite an example. May God forbid, may God even perish the thought. You came here to grant this interview on behalf of Joy FM. On your return, if something should happen to you, and then Joy say, oh, because we cannot find you, we are dismissed you. That would be immoral, because you got whatever challenge that you got on duty.
Did she travel on the ticket of Parliament?
No, I'm saying that the challenge she's having, she's gotten them as a member of Parliament. This is a lady that every one of us knew her. She was very aggressive. She served as a deputy leader. She was very, very, very ambitious, working very hard. I can bet you they know Aisha Ibrahim will naturally not do what's happening. She's having a challenge. And in the past, together with her in leadership, as deputy leader, me as minority whip, we've managed others. We've managed others for 2 years. I can tell you that between 2013 and 2016, we've managed other MP for 3.5 years. With a challenge. I mean, you don't wash your dirty in the public. Why are they treating her differently? Simply because they think that, well, the challenge that she's having is undulating, there's no certainty, so let's remove her and bring another person that will be certain. And I say that's immoral. Because what's happening, the challenges she's going through could be happening to me,
but the
could be happening to you.
Is clear that if Aisha Ibrahim is having challenges, she can write to the speaker and ask for permission.
She did. Look,
for how long?
Quote everybody, quote me anyway. She first did to her leadership, and they declined to recommend for her to be granted. Then she wrote directly to the speaker. And the speaker said that no, reroute is still through your leadership. So it's not like she didn't seek permission. She did. But her permission was refused.
Why?
That's the thing. That's the politics. So
but have you found out from your other colleagues?
No. When you are playing the political game, people don't want to give you reasons. You just want that, look, yes, there's challenge. Yeah, we appreciate challenge. But look, we are struggling. We need to get government running.
Does the
so let's sacrifice that person
for that much?
Well, I would not want to use the word hate, but I want to say, why do they dislike her that much? Because we manage others in a different way before. And then and if I were her, I'll be going through that pain because she was part of leadership. She's seen how we've managed others in the past. Why is hers different? She'll be asking herself. I mean, even someone like me who has served in the leadership, who have helped virtually this crop of leadership, because Speaker was then the second deputy speaker, the first deputy speaker was still the first deputy speaker, she was the deputy leader, the leader, majority leader was still the majority leader, the minority leader is still the minority leader, the minority whip is still the minority whip, the deputy minority leader is still the same crop of leadership want to treat me differently. When I've been part of the leadership, how we've managed others and their challenges. Why? Numbers. I can bet you if MPP were 169, this Aisha Ibrahim thing will never be an issue. But
as we speak, Aisha Ibrahim we are hearing is in town. She still hasn't reported to Parliament. Are you not concerned?
No, I've heard she's in town. I haven't seen her. myself, I was not around. I was in Pan-African Parliament. I just came. My prayer is that whatever challenges she was going through, my prayer is that it is over, so that she can resume her full duty as a member of Parliament for the people of Kwabena. My prayer is that she's able to she's able to put all this behind her and come and take her seat. Regardless of what's going to happen, I believe, that is me, I have insisted, we did not treat her fairly.
The reason people think that you are protecting her so much and she herself is not making matters good for herself is because she's been cited on social media platforms, giving messages, doing all kinds of things on social media. How come she cannot report in Parliament?
Well,
and what exactly is the challenge she's facing? Why she stayed for that long?
Well, I mean, I can't speak for her. And most of the social media thing, we are told that, oh, they didn't happen now. Is it true? It's not true. I cannot tell. One thing that I can say, I heard, which was live, which was on your own network, where she granted the interview. I mean, I heard that. But what kind of challenge is she having, Aisha? If you put gun on me, you will never get me to tell you that. Well, that's the duty of whips, to keep the confidentiality of their members and the challenges that they are having.
So you know the challenges that she's going through? It's not supposed to be
public. Yes, I know, and many know the challenges she's going through, but you can never get me as a whip to speak about the challenge of a member of Parliament. The day I do that, I mean, I become a useless whip. I become something else, but not a whip.
Your lips are tight.
Yeah.
Finally, let me ask you about Judge Kwesi. It's been months since the Supreme Court asked him to stay away from Parliament as a member of Parliament, but the matter is not progressing. Very
painfully. Very, very painfully. And sometimes, here again, I remember I met the Chief Justice because we are all from Kumasi, and sometimes we are at the airport, and it's like, people, the way we are doing, you are really eroding the confidence. I said, Chief Justice, it's not us. Your actions forces, I mean, your actions will always force us to make some of those comments. Now you've denied the people of Asin North representation for all this month. It is only in this country that I've ever heard this, that, hey, even before judgment, I start to suffer the punishment of if I'm guilty.
Okay.
I mean,
where are we with that?
Yeah, because, I mean, the Supreme Court is not calling the matter. The High Court matter is dragging. And it's like some kind of punishment to the gentleman. All they need is to reduce the number. Once the number is reduced, you can go to hell. The matter has not been called. Again, I mean, waiting for that, waiting for this. You are not seeing any progression. And I believe that any day you get an opportunity of asking the Chief Justice, you ask him, why is the matter not proceeding? Okay. Why are they not making progress? Even if you are going to say that, okay, we've finished the matter and therefore we are declaring the thing vacant, do it. That's the worst you could do.
So
but nothing is. So now the gentleman, unfortunately, whether he's no longer a member of Parliament, I don't know whether it will be fair to say he's no longer a member of Parliament.
Does he still draw salary as a member of Parliament?
I don't know. I don't work in that council. I don't know. But imagine the common fund that goes to the constituency. That's supposed to be for intervention in the constituency. Imagine the worries of the people. All of us are filing questions. We are asking that. We are doing this. We are following one issue or the other concerning our people. His mandate has been taken away from him. So he sits home, and the sad thing is that he doesn't even know his fate. Okay. What's going to happen next? When next he may be going to go, maybe the High Court, fine. He may know the next hearing. The Supreme Court, it's like they've gone mute. That's not fair. And they keep telling us that justice delayed is justice denied. And I doubt whether this is justice for Honorable Kwesi. I thought that this is very unfair. And I hope our Supreme Court will rise up to the occasion. Let's deal with this matter. Yes, whatever judgment you want to give. Posterity will be there to judge all of us. But the way we have denied the Asin North people representation is highly, highly unfair.
So come 15th this month, we won't have the budget, the 2023 budget, as has been stipulated in the Financial Management Act. Are you worried about that?
I am, because what is simply going to happen is that you are going to have lesser time to scrutinize a budget. The standard by International Parliamentary Union is that get 12 weeks to scrutinize a budget. That's 3 months. If you can't get, 12 weeks, try and get 8. Worst case scenario, try and get 6. If the way they are going, you are not careful, even the worst case scenario may not be got. Because remember, we can't stay here to Christmas. The best we can do is the last Friday to Christmas. So if you then extrapolate, if they shift away from the 15th, what you are simply doing is that if you are not careful, we are going to have a much lesser time to scrutinize the budget. And believe me, the implication is dying. Because what I have said, and I agree with Speaker Babi, the challenges of this country, many of it is because Parliament is weak. Because Parliament is weak, it's not able to stand on its feet to do some of the needful. One of the very needful things that Parliament has to be doing and be doing very well is scrutinizing the budget and making sure that the appropriations are right. So you have a budget that comes, for example, Office of President, and you see the Office of President budget are hypothetically moving, say, from 2 billion to 3 billion. Parliament has the power to cut. But when you cut, they have to reallocate and come back. So now you come and then you have 20, 30 ministries or so, and then there's a lot of cuts. What time will they go and reallocate and come back? So they'll use the, when you do this, then before the end of the year, we'll not have the budget, then you next year will take care of it. And then people will say, yeah, it's true. If we do now, by the time they go back and come, even we ourselves, we have to go for Christmas. So the shorter the time, the more ineffective Parliament becomes. Because when you even read the policy, we now have to debate the policy, approve the policy before we now go into the estimate. So the shorter the time, the less effective we become in making sure that we cross all the T's and dot all the I's. And I don't think that is good for our country.
Muntaka Mubarak, I'm grateful for your time. Mohammed Muntaka Mubarak, he is the Minority Chief Whip and MP for Asawase. Of course, we're looking forward to what happens tomorrow. He's indicated that there are talks with the NPP majority to support their motion of censorship against the finance minister. How will that unfold? We'll bring all of that to you. And thanks so much for watching PM Express. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Enjoy the rest of our programs.